Imagine spending years performing the songs of your heroes and then one day getting called on stage by them. On this episode of the MarshyCast, I'm joined by Jay Apperley from the UK Foo Fighters, one of the world's leading Foo Fighter tribute bands. We chat about the incredible moment he was pulled on stage by Dave Grohl himself and ended up singing with the real Foo Fighters. We also talk about the devastating loss of Taylor Hawkins, how it affected them not only as performers but as lifelong fans, and Jay's thoughts on the growing tribute band scene. Plus, his answer to my question about the greatest Foo Fighters album wasn't what I expected, and the reason why is genuinely heartbreaking. It's Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by Jay Apperley of the UK Foo Fighters. Jay, how are you, sir?
I'm very good, Paul. And yourself?
Very good, thank you. It's brilliant to talk to you for a lot of reasons. But before we go any further, I must say, for those listening right now, you are Dave Grohl in inverted commas.
I am on stage, yes.
Yes.
Not off stage, but yes, on stage.
On stage, you are Dave Grohl. I first saw you, and I'm trying to think what the year was. It was a long time ago. Sorry to be that bearer of bad news. You played at the Portsmouth Rifle Club. I want to say maybe 2000, probably over 10 years ago. Let's say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A long time ago. Massive Foo Fighters fan, and a friend of mine just sort of said, you know, there's a Foo Fighters tribute band playing, you know, do you want to go and see them? It was a spare of the moment thing. We're like, yeah, okay. And I thought that you were so good. And from that moment on, it was just a case of wherever you guys were playing. I've probably been to Brighton about, I don't know, 4 times to see you guys over the last however many years. And I've been to various other places and seen you guys. And I always say, I've been lucky enough to see the Foo Fighters, I think 3 or 4 times. And nothing is ever going to be the real thing. However, if I gave them a 10, I would give you guys a 9.5.
Wow. Hey, Paul, I'm blown away. You're a heavy attender. You heard me scream through a microphone, and I've probably burnt your ears for a fair number of hours.
Yes, very much so, very much so. Like I say, I've been down to the Concorde in Brighton and seen you guys a few times down there, which is obviously a favourite venue of yours because, well, that's where you got on stage with the man himself.
I did, Paul. It's just over 10 years ago now, but it literally, when people mention it to me, I just almost, I'm there. It was like it was last night, and I just remember it better, unfortunately, than most of the things I'm supposed to remember, you know, in a family. But yeah, that night was incredible because I was so excited to be invited to see the Foo Fighters play in front of just a few hundred people.
Yeah.
You know, they walked out on stage. I was like, whoa, it sounded great. And I'd never heard Dave speak about tribute bands to his band ever. And just a couple of songs in, he gives us a shout out, asks me to put my hand up, tells the audience that they've been talking backstage about there's a bit of pressure tonight because the UK Foo Fighters are in the house, you know, and shit the bed. What if we make a mistake? They're going to be like, that's not how it goes, you know? So he gave me a shout out, and I was just like, whoa, I'm happy with that. I've won the lottery, you know?
At that point, were you floating out of your own body and thought, like, this is not real, with no idea what was about to happen?
Completely. I think I was about 2/3 of the way back, and I just sort of started to move forward, you know, like, and typically at at a show, if you try and make your way through the crowd, everyone that you're trying to get past is looking at you saying, "Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
I was here before you,"
Yeah.
you know? And I was like, "But didn't you just hear that they just mentioned me, you know?" Anyway, I got a little bit further forward, and I felt like Dave was watching a little bit, you know, how engaged was I in this, you know, performance. But yeah, I was totally engaged, singing every word because I know all the words, you know. So I never imagined for 1 minute that he would point at me and say, "Get your ass up here. I want to see what you can do." I never saw that coming. I got on stage.
Did you even dream it? You know, we all have these fantasies. You know, Dave himself said about like he fantasized when he was younger about he'd go to the show and he would get called up on stage because the drummer's broke his arm. Is there anyone that knows all of our songs? And you get called up to replace the drummer. Did you have that fantasy?
Paul, I know that story.
Yes,
because I have had that fantasy of I've had dreams in the past where I've imagined meeting Dave and saying, "Oh, any chance that I could get up and like perform with you tonight and stuff," and that used to occur quite a few times, bizarrely. So, completely, you know, that story you've just told was embedded in my head. Like, can you imagine if Dave ever was like, "Can somebody sing?" Because
his throat's gone.
I can't sing.
He's too much screaming. His throat's gone. Is there anybody else that knows all of the lyrics?
Yeah.
Misa.
But you know, he really tested me because I got on stage. He didn't really say anything to me. He turned around to Taylor, bless him, and they just started playing the intro to White Limo. I never got a cue. I never got anything. It was just a gesture to the microphone, and that was it.
So for anybody listening who is not a huge Foo Fighters fan, like clearly we are, Foo Fighters are known for various different styles of sort of rock music. They do have their poppier side, you know, Learn to Fly and tracks like that, which kind of most people know. White Limo is not a commercial track, is it?
No, it's not. And they always have put something like that on an album because Dave, you know, is a bit of a metalhead, and he's done some albums with a lot of metal heroes. He's a fan of metal music, and I think that creeps in, you know, on most albums. Who knows? Maybe he's always battling to get one on there, but, you know, and people are saying, "No, that's a bit heavy. That, you know, we can't have that on there." But yeah, White Limo is definitely one of those tracks. It's if people have watched the music video, Lemmy's in it. It's kind of probably a tribute to Lemmy in a way, you know, because he was good friends with Lemmy.
How long did it take you to come down afterwards?
Well, I didn't sleep that evening,
no.
And I probably didn't sleep that well, really, for probably about 10 days, you know. All the social media channels and my phone was just red hot, you know, and really, you know, it's bizarre that, you know, I'd never heard Dave speak about Tribute Band, and that night he speaks about Tribute Band for the first time, to my knowledge. And that ends up being the catapult to numerous things, like the BBC getting in touch and doing a documentary, which led to like 160,000 people in the UK watching it on BBC iPlayer. So, you know, in a way, I have Dave to thank in some ways for the last decade of success.
Do you have any idea how it came about, how he heard about you guys, how he found out about like where it all started?
I don't know how long it was before that night that he was aware of us, but that night, when they arrived at the venue, we were playing the venue literally like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, because I was there for that one.
They arrived at the venue, And we'll have seen posters, and the owner of the venue
Right. Okay.
chatted to them, and they were saying. So I think they went, "Oh my God, is it their show tonight? Is it our show tonight?" They're having a little of a laugh, and then
Because if I remember rightly, they weren't playing as the Foo Fighters, were they?
they weren't. No, they
They
were
had
playing,
another name that they were playing under.
Yeah. Are we allowed to say it?
Well, you can say it and I'll bleep it.
Holy shit! Yeah. So yeah, Dave was like looking at the poster, and I don't know what took place, but they clearly, obviously, were like, "What, you mean they're here? Some of the band are here? Yeah. Some of the band are here." After that, I guess Dave decided what he decided to do, in the spur of that moment.
Amazing. Like I say, it's literally the fantasy that you have as a 10-year-old boy coming true like that is just phenomenal. Clearly, we could talk about this forever. Let's talk about some other things as well. You mentioned Taylor earlier on. Obviously, that is one of the Taylor Hawkins passing is one of the biggest things that's happened to the band in, well, possibly ever, but certainly for a long, long time. That hit, obviously, every Foo Fighter fan really, really hard. It must have hit you guys really, really hard as well.
Oh, completely. I mean, we literally thought that could be the end of the Foo Fighters, and I'm talking as a fan now. I'm not talking as a tribute band leader. Literally, would we ever see them again? Would there ever be any more Foo Fighters music? And they've obviously had enough drive to keep the thing going, which is great, because they're probably going to be the next AC/DC, performing until Dave is probably 80, and it would have been a shame to have seen that just come to an end, really.
Yeah, I mean, because it's funny, isn't it? There have been so many multiple moments over the last 30 years when the Foo Fighters could be no more. Obviously, the recent one, Dave's personal problems with his family and everything else, you thought, oh, that's the end of it. Taylor passing, that's the end of it. Multiple guitarists, that's the end of it. And there's always, it feels like it could stop at any moment. And I think maybe that's one of the best things, the fact that they do keep going and they just continue to surprise us. I mean, as the UK Foo Fighters, you've been through your own change of lineups and everything, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, people move on. People have kids, and being away most weekends is quite challenging.
Yeah.
Unless you have a very reasonable wife, and understanding family. But yeah, no, people, we're not a $1 million rock band. There's not, a big paycheck to keep you engaged in not leaving a band, Other priorities take over, and yeah, there have been some changes. They were triggered by the pandemic, where people reevaluated what they wanted to do. Otherwise, pre-pandemic, it was stable. Post-pandemic, it's stable. It's just the pandemic that people decided to take a different path, which is fine.
I think also the tribute world has gone through the roof, hasn't it? I mean, to go and see the main band now is just become so, and I'm not talking about Foo Fighters, I'm talking about everybody. It's so expensive. You're talking about trips to a major city, probably hotels overnight and all of that. You're talking about like probably £500 to go and see whoever your favourite artist is, which is why the world of tributes have taken off. And again, because there are so many tributes, I mean, I could probably name you 3 or 4 different Foo Fighters tributes. It's so important to be at the top of that tree. And let's say, not only are you at the top of that tree, you've been at the top of that tree for nearly 20 years now.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to see another Foo Fighters tribute band, so
have you not?
It's hard for me to
I
comment.
actually genuinely find that really, really interesting.
I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from the fact that if I watch somebody else pretending to be Dave Grohl, I'm like, oh God, is that what I look like?
Right.
Is that what,
Okay.
you know? I prefer not to watch it because I'd rather just watch Dave and, and not watch myself even,
Yeah.
because I don't need to
But
and I don't want to.
you must have done that at some point because again, you've got the guitar swayed down and his whole persona on stage. There are so many different parts to a tribute band. Some people sound like the person that they are tributing. Some people look like them. You have nailed everything there is to nail about Dave Grohl, shy of surgery, maybe, I don't know, but you've nailed them all. So you must have at some point looked in a mirror or a video or whatever to nail all of that.
I think in terms of on stage persona, I've seen him 16 times.
Yeah.
And I've never sat down and gone, ooh, I need to do that. Because I don't want it to be that forced, I feel like even though people make comments like you make about my performance in relation to Dave, I still feel like the majority of it is me. It's just infused with maybe the odd mannerism, but I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm just up there performing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's so many references I could make. I mean, people don't know that I was born in West Virginia.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, your accent does give that away, to be fair.
Well, not you mean. But I'm 1 year older than Dave. I was born in West Virginia, 17 miles from where he grew up in Virginia.
Wow.
And I remember reading that in his biography years ago. This is a call, and thinking, oh my God, it's like there's so many parallels. But yeah, from the performance side, obviously having all the guitars, wearing what Dave wears, I've not had any plastic surgery. I just grew my hair and grew a beard, and because I'd have looked stupid if I hadn't done. And the rest of it really has just evolved. If I look back, I mean, next year we're celebrating 20 years, and if I look back, I've still got video footage of the first performance with the, what's it called, the Diablo Roadrunners t-shirt that I bought, which was my first t-shirt, from All My Life music video. And I look back at then and I just think, oh my God, we were terrible,
I think listen, I think that's a part of life, isn't it? Christ, I daren't go back and listen to the first time I was on the radio because like you say, I would cringe. I would absolutely cringe. But you've lived the life, man. You've lived the life. And I'd say it, and I've said it right the way throughout this interview, and I'll say it again. I've seen you 4-5 times, whatever it is, as the UK Foo Fighters. I've travelled all across the South Coast to watch you guys because I genuinely believe that you are that good. Not only are you the best Foo Fighters tribute in the UK, you are probably in the top 5 tributes, full stop, in the UK as well.
I don't, it's crazy. There's a promoter, which I won't name, that I've worked with for over a decade. And I used to joke with him, when are you actually going to come and see a show? You're not even seen us,
No.
Because a scout saw us, 15 years ago and said, you need to get on with these guys. So anyway, to cut a long story short, last year he finally came and he said, oh my God, I actually think you're the best tribute band I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it took you over 10 years to tell me that. But, I don't know. I've always, because you never get used to watching yourself or hearing your own voice, do you?
Yeah.
Always so when I see myself and performing, I kind of critique a little bit, but I sort of think I still can't get over the fact that I'm just watching myself. Whereas when people come to the show, they're not seeing that, are they? They're
Yeah.
just seeing a performance.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've been, all the guys in the band bring something to the performance. That they've
Yeah.
all got a level of energy which, can be missing in bands generally. Um, and the guy who's been with me, he wasn't the drummer initially, but he's been part of the crew for probably 15 years, and he's the massive Taylor Hawkins fan. And ultimately, we've gone to another level, really, with him behind the kit and some of the other guys. Well, all of the other guys, I couldn't find a better team than the team I've got now. So it's great, and obviously we've got the full six piece. We've got the Chris Shiflett, we've got the Pat Smear, we've got the Rami Jaffe, we've got the Nate Mendel, um, and we decided that we felt that the best way to honour the Foo Fighters, in a way where people can come and see us and maybe just get a taste of what it was like for the first 25 years of the Foo Fighters, with Taylor Hawkins on the drums,
Yeah.
with Taylor Hawkins singing,
Yes.
with Taylor Hawkins getting up front and letting me get on the drum kit and
Yep.
playing Under Pressure, by Queen, and kind of celebrate their golden years, really, as they rose to stardom.
Like I say, I love it. I think you guys do such a phenomenal job. I really, really do. Jay, I have taken up more than enough of your time, but I want to finish with a couple of really, really tough questions, if that's okay, because I know that you probably get asked this all the time, and I know that it probably changes all the time as well. I want to ask you two questions. I want to ask you, what's your favourite song to perform?
That is a very difficult question. I would say over the last 15 years, it's changed. I would say definitely the ones where the audience kind of take over, the ones I would call the Foo Fighters anthems, where the crowd jump in and take over, and even, as you know from watching the Foo Fighters, they'll stop playing and just let the crowd sing.
Yeah.
And whenever that happens, I always say to the crowd, now it's a Foo Fighters show because of you.
Yeah.
Because of us, because what I'm hearing is, for me, I'm being teleported back to a Foo Fighters show, hearing everybody sing along in Best of You or Breakout, times like these. That's it's weird, really, because it's the best songs are the ones that take me back to watching the Foo Fighters live.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
Really.
I want to finish by asking you what your favorite album is, and before you answer, I'll tell you mine and why it's my favorite. My favorite album is Wasting Light from 2011, which I think is probably one in people's top 2 or 3. And I think it's the first album where I really got it and I really jumped all the way in. I think before that, I'd owned a few albums and listened to some singles and bits and pieces. I think Wasting Light was the first one where I really literally dove in head first and went, this is for me.
Yeah, and that's a really good choice, because that is definitely in my top 3. There's a video performance of them when they released Wasting Light. They played live.
Yep.
And it's absolutely incredible, how well they performed, and the vocals and everything were absolutely top notch, really good, right in their prime, 2011. For me, I mean, I remember the first time I was handed a bootleg copy of a CD of the Foo Fighters, and it was Colour and the Shape. And so that was my first album. So I hold that one dear, I would say. And definitely Wasting Light as well. But one thing that I find over the last 20 years, I've had a lot of people who've asked for song requests. Might be a birthday, might be a loved one that's passed away, or a memory about something. And I've always gone out my way to make sure that I deliver on that, because I only maybe get 2 or 3 requests per show, where Dave and the Foo Fighters probably get thousands. So I like to deliver on that. And about 3 years ago, when the Foo Fighters released But Here We Are, which was the first album after Taylor's passing, I finally had a different connection with an album, because I lost my father in 2023, and it was the first family member that I lost. So suddenly I was listening to a record while, dealing with the final days and weeks and hours of my dad passing. But I was also learning the lyrics, because we were learning the songs as well. And it just takes it to another level when there's another connection. And finally, after all this time, I totally understand now how people want to hear that song, and they ask for a dedication. And so yeah, that song and the lyrics, that they'll probably be the strongest album ever, because I recited some lyrics at my father's funeral. And yeah, I'm not going to get emotional, but that's my long-winded answer to your simple question.
Listen, Jay, it's an amazing answer. It really is an amazing. It's better than my answer. It's the best way of putting it. Jay, I could talk to you absolutely forever about this.
Likewise,
I love what you guys do as the UK Foo Fighters, and obviously I love the Foo Fighters as well. But what you guys have done over nearly 20 years has been absolutely amazing. If you just listen to this, what I tell you right now, please, 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 if you like the Foo Fighters and you're thinking to yourself, I've seen other Foo Fighters tributes before, and you haven't seen the UK Foo Fighters, trust me, you have not seen a Foo Fighters tribute band. Like I said earlier, easily the best Foo Fighters tribute in the UK, and one of the top 5 tributes full stop in the UK. UK Foo Fighters are coming to the Portsmouth Guildhall on the 13th of June. Jay, thank you so much for talking to me. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, Paul. It's been a pleasure.